Today's video is going to go over how to do the traditional or the standard division algorithm with whole numbers. So I am going to take just the problem. Let's do 546 divided by 4. One of the key small hints that I always tell students is to use a sheet of paper to cover up the numbers or the digits in the dividend that you don't need to see at the time. It's kind of like wearing blinders on a horse. It kind of keeps the distractions away from you and keeps you focused on just what's in front of you. Now, before I begin, I should probably just very briefly go over the different parts of a division problem. The dividend is the number inside of the division bracket. The divisor is the number outside of the bracket that you are dividing by. When you have the answer, that will be the quotient that is placed on top of the division bracket. And of course, if you have anything left over, that will be the remainder that we will put up beside the quotient. These terms I will refer to during this video, and also if you look over to the side, I have these same terms outlined in a flow chart which goes over the traditional algorithm. Okay, so I'm going to cover up all the digits in the dividend except the first one that we see in the bracket in the hundreds place, the 5. So first, let's go through our division steps. Decide where the first answer of the quotient is placed. So you ask yourself, will 4 divide into 5? And yes, it does. So I'm going to put a dot above the 5, and I'm going to put it sort of far up above the 5, getting ready to put a digit in there. This is one of the most important steps that many times people want to skip, but when you work with larger numbers, this step is really critical. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Estimate how many times the divisor, which is 4, will divide into the dividend, only the 5 that we're looking at. So 4 will go into 5 one time. Another way to think about this is 4 times what number gives you something as close to 5 as possible without going over. The next step, multiply the quotient and the divisor. So 4 times 1 is 4, and we'll put that below the 5. Next step, we subtract. So 5 minus 4 is 1. Now this next step is also another critical step that many times people want to skip, but if you don't skip it and make sure that you do this step, it will usually help you to prevent from making a careless mistake. Is the remainder less than the divisor? So our remainder is 1, our divisor is 4, so the answer is yes. So we go to this side, bring down the next digit in the dividend. So we scoot our paper over, and I'm going to extend my work line, and you can show bringing down the next digit in the dividend several ways. I like to just draw an arrow pointing down, showing that I am bringing that digit down. Our next step, we go back to step 2 and continue the steps until there are no more digits to bring down in the dividend. So we go back to step 2 and we estimate how many times the divisor will divide into the dividend. This means the new dividend. The new dividend is now 14. Many times students like to turn this into a division bracket and recopy the divisor right here to show that we have a new problem. So 4 goes into 14 3 times. So the 3 will go up here above the 4 that we just brought down. Okay, the next step, multiply the quotient and the divisor. When we say multiply the quotient, we now mean just that single digit that we just placed up top. So 3 times 4 is 12. Next step, we will subtract. 14 minus 12 is 2. Ask the question, is the remainder less than the divisor? 2 is less than 4. So yes, bring down the next digit in the dividend. So scoot our paper over, extend our work line, and bring down the next digit in the dividend, which is 6. And once again, we're going to go back to step 2 and continue until there are no more digits to bring down. If you notice, it just keeps looping over and over and over again. So I am going to estimate how many times my divisor, I'm going to recopy my divisor into my new dividend. So 4 goes into 26 6 times. Now multiply the new quotient, remember just that single digit, and the divisor. So 6 times 4 is 24. Now we're going to subtract. 26 minus 24 is 2. Is the remainder less than the divisor? The answer is yes. Bring down the next digit in the dividend. So when we move our paper over, we see there are no other digits to bring down in the dividend. So that means we are finished with the problem, and we have a remainder of 2, which we are just going to write beside the quotient. So remainder of 2. So our entire answer is 136 with a remainder of 2. The last step is to check your answer using multiplication. When you check your answer, you will take the quotient and multiply it by the divisor. I'll write that one out since dividend also starts with a D. And add the remainder. When you do those, that should equal the original dividend that you began with. So I am going to go over here beside my problem and check it. So I'm going to take the quotient 136 and multiply it by the divisor 4. 4 times 6 is 24, carry the 2. This is 12 plus 2 is 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. But now I also need to add my remainder. So now I'm going to add the remainder of 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. There's 4. That's 5. And that should equal my original dividend, which it does. Now, I'm going to go back and just show in one of our steps what would have happened if in our algorithm we had had the answer of no at any part. So I'm going to back this up to where we had just brought down our 6, and now we were starting over saying how many times will the divisor 4 divide into the new dividend 26. This time, let's say that our estimate was a 5. So I'm going to put a 5 up where the quotient goes. Now I'm going to multiply that new single digit quotient and the divisor. 5 times 4 is 20. So my next step would be to subtract. 26 minus 20 is 6. Is the remainder less than the divisor? Well, this times 6 is not smaller than 4, so I would go to no. Go back to the second step and find an answer that will give you a remainder less than the divisor. So I would have to go back to the second step. In other words, I would erase the 5 because 4 does not go into 26 5 times. It would have to go more. If you think of it this way, that if you had 26 cookies that you were going to divide equally amongst 4 of your friends, and you said, well, each friend will get 5 cookies, but you would have 6 cookies left over. Well, If you have 6 cookies left over, that means your 4 friends could each get at least 1 more cookie. So that means 4 goes into 26 more than 5 times. So we would have to erase this part of the problem, not the whole thing, and then go back and say, well, 4 goes into 26 more than 5 times. It goes 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract, we get 2. Now is the remainder less than the divisor? Yes, it is. And then we are back to the original answer that we had a moment ago. So this is just a very brief outline of how to use the traditional or the standard division algorithm.